Yeah. It's Lil Kenny Russell, Canoe, Consul Moon. We here. We back in the building. I got some things for you. Gonna do it real quick. It's called Santa Claus. It's really Satan Claus. I'ma just go through some historical um, information on how this fictitious character was all brought about. It started in a Christian way because if it was no Jesus the Christ, you wouldn't need a Christmas. Christmas is really Christ's mass, a mass for Christ. So if it was no Christmas, you wouldn't have Santa Claus. So I'm gonna show you how it derived from different historical aspects and standpoints onto what it is today. None of it is true, but I'm just going through the process of history and historical information on how it was all put together. I'm going to show you how it went from being so-called some type of spirit of this fictitious Jesus the Christ and things of that nature, like a spirit of this Christianity, if you want to say that, until a secret gift giver. I'm getting my screen up. That's all, and I'm gonna show you how it is now. So again, you understand that it's folklore, and it takes on all the folklore of the same type of properties of the Jesus the Christ. Now, I'm getting my notes out. Okay. Now, I want to give an honorary shout out to all the master teachers who laid the way, paved the way before me. Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen, Dr. Ben, Dr. John Henry Clark, that's Dr. Clark, Ivan Van Sertima, Sheikh Anta Diop, John G. Jackson, Malcolm X, Khalid Muhammad. I want to give a shout out to a brother that's still doing it. I watch him all the time, General Sarah. I believe he's the master teacher of this generation. So shout out to the General Sarah Suan Seti. He doing work right now, and I benefit of a lot of his knowledge. Matter of fact, I pay to hear him speak on his Patreon, so he's very valuable to what I do, no questions. And the elder, the master teacher, who got me into really doing historical research the way I do it from a historical aspect. Walter Williams, Dr. Walter Williams, great man. I love him, father of my education when it comes to doing the type of stuff that I'm doing historically. So, okay, I'm going to go right into it. I'm going to screen share and show you what I'm speaking about. Santa Claus is actually Satan Claus because it derives from like something good in the beginning, and then it goes into a dark place, and it is to what you have now. But you don't understand the different properties and things that he take on to what I'm saying, why he's like a form of Satan, opposed to the red uniform, and he can come in and out. He's shapeless, he's formless, he dwells in magic. He got fictitious animals flying him across. He do just weird things that's satanic. You see what I'm saying? Because even in the Bible, they tell you magicianry, magic, and all that type of stuff is from the devil. They see it as coming from a dark place. So I'm gonna show you those things real quick. What I'm talking about. Let me start screen sharing. Thank you, whoever gonna tune in. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. We're ramping things up. I do everything from a historical aspect, and this ain't gonna be no different today. Excuse me. Okay. Let me hide this. Okay, where's my there it go. We locked in. Okay. Hope y'all ready to go. Let me take me a little quick drink. And we right on the road. Let's go. Santa Claus is really Satan Claus. Okay. So on the left here, this is the way we see it today, Santa Claus. This is the original historical Santa Claus. Okay. See, he's just smoking whatever that is, mish, whack, tobacco, whatever. But it's not a good place to be smoking around children. And then this is him here, Santa Claus and Krampus. They all derivative of the same type of people. He basically looking in the mirror. This is Krampus. All these names go together, and I'm gonna show you that. Krampus will put a kid in the bag if he did wrong and beat him. Okay, beat the hell out of him, beat his ass, whatever the case may be. Let's continue. It's a quote from the mighty professor, Dr. Walter Williams. Facts, which are stronger than arguments, more profound than reasoning, more dependable than opinion, silences dispute, supersedes prediction, and facts always ends the arguments, if you know the facts, unless you are talking to a fool, okay? Now, these are definitions. There's three of them because you're going to see these definitions along the way. Legend, okay, is a genre of folklore that consists of a narrative featuring human actions perceived or believed both by teller and listener to have taken place within human history. Narrative is a person narrating, like telling the story. Okay, see, it's believed to be taking place in human history, but it's not. It's just legend. It's folklore. Dowry. Okay, this is something like when you have a wife or whatever, you paying a woman for sex. It's prostitution, basically, with a nice word on it. A dowry is a transfer of parental property, gifts, or money at the marriage of a daughter slash bride. Okay. Dowry contrasts with the related concepts of a bride, price, and dower. This is like what you want for your daughter. Back in the day, they used to do this. While bride price or bride service is a payment by the groom or his family to the bride's parents. Dowry is the wealth transferred from the bride's family to the groom or his family, ostensibly for the bride. Ostensibly, okay? I didn't look that word up. I really don't know what that means, but you get the idea. This is a payment. A dowry is a payment. Okay. Examples from the web for traditionally. You're going to see traditionally and tradition, they the same story because traditionally, the root word is tradition. Popular history is most purely driven by narrative, just spoken word, just a storyteller. A tradition is a belief or behavior passed down within a group or society with symbolic meaning. See, symbolic is like you're just telling a story using symbolism, or you're making it symbolic to try to push forth with the truth of the story you're telling, or special significance with origins in the past. Okay, this is the historical way Santa Claus came into existence. First is the Red Bishop, Saint Nick of Elmira. He used to give secret gifts out. This is Christianity. He never existed in human form because they said he was a priest and a bishop and all that in the 300s. It wasn't even no Christ at that time, okay, or a church. This is Santa Claus. This is Santa, and this is Krampus. Like I say, they all derivative and they all serve the same type of purpose, basically. Now this is Saint Nicholas of Myra. He was called the red-faced bishop. Okay, traditionally, see how I say traditionally? Again, I take you back here. Traditionally, popular history is almost purely driven by narrative. They don't have anything historic about it. Purely driven by narrative. I let you know it's just a story. Okay, so this is his traditionally birthday because he never existed. So they put traditionally. Why do you have to put traditionally when you're dealing with a historical person's birthday? Also shown as Nicholas of Bari, was an early Christian bishop, was no Christ at the time, no Christianity or a Christian church in 270 to 342. Okay, of the ancient Greek, again, it never was no church in Greek or Rome until 15th century. Maritime city of Myra in Asia Minor, ancient Greek. Okay, it's modern day Demir or Turkey today, during the time of the Roman Empire. Okay, because of the miracles attributed to his intercessions, these are prayers. He is also known as Nicholas the Wonder Worker. See, all fictitious folklore stuff going on. Saint Nicholas is the patron saint of sailors, merchants, archers, repentant thieves, prostitutes, children, brewers, pawnbrokers, and students, various cities and countries around Europe. No church in Rome to the 1500s, like I just told you. They made the church of Nostradam in 1163, and it was finished in 1230, but it never, the seat of Christianity wasn't transferred into 14, 13, I'm sorry, 1439, and in 1445 they started building the Vatican City, St. Peter's Church, St. Peter's Basilica today. His reputation evolved among the faithful, as was common for early Christian saints. No Christians in his time, remember that. And his legendary habit of secret gift giving gave rise to the traditional model of Santa Claus, Saint Nick, through Santa Claus. So Santa Claus came first before Santa Claus and this old jolly Saint Nick. Okay. Santa Claus is assisted by Zwartry Pete. That means Black Pete. So Santa Claus had a slave, and I'm going to show you that. I'm going to prove that. A helper dressed in Moorish attire and in blackface. Okay? So they had to dress in blackface to be Pete, but Pete was actually just some black slave that belonged to Santa Claus, who would do all the slavery and work and build the toys for him, I guess. And then after that, you get the dwarves. So stay with me. So Archie Pete first appeared in print as the nameless servant, slave of Saint Nicholas and Saint Nicholas, whatever the case may be. This is Saint Nicholas and his servant. A print is published in 1850 by Amsterdam school teacher. This is the man who first brought you Pete or whatever. However, the tradition appears to date back at least as far as the early 19th century. Zwartry Pete's colorful dress is based on a 16th century noble attire with a rough lace collar and a feathered cap. He is typically depicted carrying a bag which contains candy for the children, which they toss around, a traditional supposedly originating in the story of St. Nicholas, saving 3 young girls from prostitution by tossing golden coins through the window at night to pay their dowries. See, I just told you about dowries. It stems from prostitution, but they say you pay this to a bride's family, and the groom would pay your family, whatever the case may be. So they would save hookers and prostitutes and hoes, to be frank, by giving them money so they can pay the dowries that was owed to them. Traditionally, they would also carry a birch rod. See, this is something to whoop kids' ass with, Dutch rope. Chimney sweep. So the chimney sweep, they would whoop kids' ass, Santa Claus and Pete. So that's the same attributes and characteristics as Santa Claus and Krampus. Well, this is Santa Claus, I'm sorry, Krampus. Okay. Chimney sweep broom made of willow branches used to spank children who had been naughty. Some of these older Santa Claus songs make mention of naughty children being put in Zwartry Pete's bag and being taken back to Spain. See? So Black Pete, the slave, he would put the kids in a bag and so-called take them back to Spain. But that's all derivative and attributes and characteristics of this Krampus that I'm going to show you later. He put the kids in the bag and whooped their ass. This part of the legend refers to the times that the Moors raided the European coast. This is a lie. The Moors was invited into Europe in 1051. Then they expelled them in 1478 with the Great Spanish Inquisition. Okay, they kicked them out after they built and civilized Spain for the European. And as far as Iceland, abduct, that means take local people into slavery. Okay. This quality can be found in other companions of St. Nicholas, such as Krampus. See, these are all the same. And Pierre Fortard. Now this is Black Pete, Zwartry Pete. This is Santa Claus. He originally came with a white horse, like all the slave masters rode in on white horses. So it was no mythological reindeers at the time when this began. So it was one white horse. See the slaves, Zwartry Pete. But Europeans do it because they won't dare put a black man in it. So they get in blackface to take on this legend. And this is Zwartry Pete here. Supposed to be, these are just different depictions of them. But you see, It was a derivative of a black man that was a slave and servant to this so-called Santa Claus. This is wickedness. You're showing the kids wickedness. You putting it on a smiley face, and you coming up under the aliases that this stuff is good. You don't even understand what you're doing to the children. You letting them dwell into Santa Claus, and that's very detrimental without you knowing the what this person is. Okay. In Central European folklore, Krampus is a honored anthropomorphic figure described as half goat, half demon. Okay. All these are attributes, characteristics, and historical developments of the Santa Claus you have today. That's very important. A lot of times when the kids sit on their lap, they scream and holler, not because they don't know them. You're giving your kids to a lot of people. It's just a devilish aura that follows this person. And like I say, they dwell in mysticism. They dwell in magical things. His bag never empties. He can go through fire. He can do all this magicianry and magicry. At the same time, it's invented by Christianity, but it's dwelling in stuff that they say is demonistic. So religion develops insanity. And you can click the link in my bio and you go watch 1 through 4. That's going to be a 7-part series. And I'm going to finish up with I got some coming real soon. Who during the Christmas seasons punishes children who have misbehaved. Okay? And that's something else I'm going to get into. He knows everybody that misbehaved, but he know everything, but he don't. I'll show you that in a minute. In contrast with St. Nicholas. Not contrast, it's the same. Who rewards the well-behaved with gifts. Krampus is one of the companions of St. Nicholas. Okay? In several religions, including Austria, Bavaria, Quartier Republican, Hungary, Northern Italy, including South Tyrol, and the province of Trento, Slovakia. These Russian, Slovenia. The origin of the figure is unclear. Some folks, Some folklorists, it's all folklorists, but they say some folklorists and anthropologists have postulated it as having pre-Christian origins. It cannot have any pre-Christian origins because this is a spirit of Christmas, Christ Mass. Christ Mass and Christmas is just, it's from, this is from, it's from Christianity. And it looked like I'm sharing both at the same time. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I didn't want to share like that, but it's cool if y'all see me. It doesn't matter. Let me get back to it. I wanted to share the whole screen with you so you weren't seeing partial, but it's cool. Y'all can, it's cool. Now, folklore. Santa Claus created through Christianity, and just like the God of the man-made religion of Christianity, this made-up character has unlimited and limited powers attributed to him. So now I'm going to let you understand what I'm saying. He knows everything, this Santa Claus. Why am I saying that? Because he knows when the children are good or bad. They tell you this. We know it's not real, but we're using this for the purpose of teaching. It's teaching purposes. He knows everything. He knows when you're being good or bad. And then they go even further on Christmas Eve on the 24th, say, hey, you know, if you ain't going to go to sleep, don't try to stay up. It won't bring you nothing. This, that, and the third. And then another evil twist on is if you up and you seeing what's going on, he throws salt in your eye. So they always have to have some fear along with this stuff to keep you enticed into it because it's not real. It's not historical. So we teach that and put it up on the churn, but they think it's a jolly man, but he has some evil little twist to it too because he throws salt in your eye. That's the Satan part that I'm telling you about because it's all derivative of satanic type of, if you look back, look at all this type of stuff. These are depictions that go along with these creatures I'm showing you. This man had a slave, okay, Santa Claus. But it comes from this. It's supposed to be some kind of Christian bishop, okay? So Santa Claus is really Satan Claus. See? You're just going along with it, don't know what's going on, just going along with it. Now, the second thing, he needs transportation. Because let me tell you what Santa Claus, I have a definition according to the Reader's Digest Encyclopedia Dictionary. The personification, this is what it says. according to the Reader's Digest Encyclopedia Dictionary. The personification of the spirit of Christianity, usually represented as a jolly fat old man with a white beard and a red suit, also called St. Nicholas. So did you hear what I said? Let me read it again. According to the Reader's Digest Encyclopedia, I wrote this definition down. That's why you don't see it before the screen. I'm telling you about it. The personification of the spirit of Christmas. And Christmas is the celebratorial celebration of Christ. That's why it's called Christmas, Christ's Mass. It's a Mass for Christ, if you didn't know that. Okay, so he's a spirit, but these are the things that, like I say, goes with Christianity, because even as Jesus the Christ has limited powers and unlimited powers. See? So you need to know that this is the same type of duplicate. They can't make nothing that's like the universal creator, all power, all this, all that, because it's impartial, because it's man-made. That's why Jesus can raise Lazarus from the dead, but he can't save people. He couldn't save himself. He couldn't save himself from the people that was getting ready to murder him. And he didn't do it willingly, because if you read the scriptures and know the scriptures, in Matthew's, he went up there and said, hey, if possible, please let this cup pass from me. That means, please don't let me die on this cross. Then when he got hung, he spoke to his father, said, why have you forsaken me too? He said, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That's what he said in Greek or Hebrew. But that means, why have you forsaken me too? Okay, so let me get back to these things. He's all limited because he's a spirit, but he's all unlimited, I'm sorry, because he's a spirit, but he's limited because these are the things he needs. So again, they play with you through folklore, because you're not going to do no historical research on it anyway. You don't care about it. You just, whatever you believe, they tell you to believe, you believe it. And we know, grown-ups that I'm talking to and speaking to, we know that it's no Santa Claus. But I'm letting you see historically what you're celebrating and worshiping and giving the kids and giving the children and putting it up under that identity of this satanic folklorish creature that's been created for you. Once he was a slave master, Santa Claus with Zartry Pete, which his name is Black Pete. Okay, that's a slave. Then Santa Claus with all the elves, slaves. Okay, so let's go. He needs transportation. A spirit shouldn't need to fly up on no more fictitious characters. You got flying reindeers. Okay, reindeers don't fly historically. They don't fly, period. But these are the things that the spirit needs. He's unlimited, because he can do anything. He can shape shift, come down your hot chimney. His bag never runs out, and things of that nature. He can do anything, but he still needs help. So he knows everything, but he don't. He knows when you're naughty or nice. So if he knew everything, why do you still have to prepare a Christmas list? Kids don't think about this. The parents neither. If this God, I mean, it's the same thing. It's basically God. If this Santa Claus knows everything, he see when you naughty and nice and things like that, why do the kids have to put forth a Christmas gift? Santa should already know what they want. So you have to think about that. That's number one. He needs transportation. Again, a spirit don't need transportation. He shape shift. He go in and out of hot chimneys. The bag never runs out. He gives gifts all night out of this big bag that's full. It never runs out. But he needs transportation from 7 fictitious reindeers, flying reindeers, to land and bring them from place to place. When he's a spirit that should be able to do anything as he already does. He's doing everything that's impossible. He's getting out of a full bag. Like they talk about Jesus, he fed all these people with a loaf of bread and 2 fish. So you see the same implications there. They're implying the same thing. It's never-ending purity of toys. Just give all around the whole world. The bag never empties. See? So if he can do all that, why does he need transportation from some folklore-type animals? Because it's folklore. And he's always hungry. Okay? Again, a spirit should be full. You're in the afterlife. You're doing great things. You're a spirit. I just read you the definition. This is the spirit of Christ. Of Christmas, I'm sorry. But he's hungry. Must leave him out snacks, hand-baked snacks. Oh, we made cookies, Oreos, and all this type of stuff, and milk, and whatever else, eggnog you can leave out. He's a spirit, can do everything, but he's hungry. So you're never thinking about that, okay? He always need money. Again, this is from the Christianity standpoint again. Who collects money? The people collect money for the so-called God. Now, who collects money for the so-called Santa Claus? Satan Claus, as I'm describing to you. The Salvation Army, okay? All through November and December, the Salvation Army is dressed up on every corner in front of every Walmart and any establishment who will allow it to get money for these children, so-called homeless children and things of that nature. And the Salvation Army has these people dressed as Satan Claus, you call him Santa, ringing a bell with the suit on, collecting money for these children, so-called toys. When this spirit can make all the toys for free, if he has really unlimited power, like you believe he do, but you don't understand that it's impartial power, because sometimes he's all power and sometimes he's not. Again, the bag never empties, okay? He knows everything. He shape shift, get through your chimney, even if it's hot on fire. And if you ain't got a chimney, he break in. That's breaking and entering. That's more of the Satan type of part, okay? Now, number 5, the final one, and slaves. He used, and he needs slaves. I didn't put the rest of the stuff here. And slaves to manufacture the gifts. It's supposed to say, and he needs slaves to manufacture the gifts. What I'm saying by that is just like I just showed you, Zartry Pete, or Black Pete from Santa Claus. Let me go back. He needed this person, a servant, a slave, to make the gifts and stuff for the children and throw money for dowries to save prostitutes. Back here, the new Santa Claus of today's time needs the elves. The elves is in North Pole, slave and making everything, getting things ready for this impartial, unlimited power type of Santa Claus to provide them for the world. See, they don't get all the credit that's bestowed upon this fictitious Santa Claus. They make everything up. You should be celebrating the elves, but they're in a slave type servitude position. So you don't see it as that, but they make all the toy, they manufacture everything, while this Santa Claus sit on his big fat ass drinking coffee, drinking milk, eggnog, and anything else they pour down his cup. So these are just some of the things I sat back and thought about today. I know it's your Sunday, and you believe this stuff because the children, we taught the children to believe this stuff, and I know they believe this stuff. So that was my little walk through this so-called Santa Claus is Satan Claus. Okay, it started in some aspects from a good type of standpoint. It derived from Saint Nicholas, the red-faced bishop from Myra, which didn't exist because they say it was priest and bishop. There was no church in that time in the 3rd and 4th century. There was no Christianity in the 3rd and 4th century. It was no Christian church in the 3rd and 4th century, historically. Not literary, because literary, they're going to tell you that they had the Holy Sepulchre and all that type of stuff in 325. That's just literary. That's not historical. The first Christian church is Hagia Sophia in Northeast Africa. That's Turkey. Today it's called the Hagia Sophia is a museum now. So it's still the Hagia Sophia, but it's a museum now. It was built by Justinian and his wife Theodora in 527, and it was completed in 532. Took them 5 years to complete it. So that's some things you need to know as well. So Justinian built the Hagia Sophia, the first Christian church, and it stayed there for all this time into 1445, 1439 is when it came to transfer the seat from Africa up into Rome and Europe, where you have it today. The seat of Christianity now is in Rome and Europe over there with the Pope. But initially it came from Northeast Africa, Hagia Sophia, with Justinian I and his wife, Theodora. Like I said, they built it from 527 to 532. It took them 5 years to build it. And that's the Hagia Sophia. That's the first Christian church in the world. And you can look that up. You can find different churches, literary, that they're going to say. But the seat of Christianity was in Northeast Africa, which is Turkey. from that time that I just stated all the way up until 1453 when Momad II came in there and blew a hole through the double walled city of Constantinople and took over that Hagia Sophia and made it a Muslim mosque. So that's what happened historically. Now, what I told you about Santa Claus, Satan Claus, is it derived from some type of Christian derivative, which is folklore, and it came based upon Saint Nicholas from Myra, some bishop, wasn't no bishop at that time. He used to secretly give gifts. Then it went into Santa Claus, a devilish type of depiction with a slave named Black Pete, Zartry Pete, look it all up, and a white horse. Then it went on up into Santa Claus, Krampus. Krampus take kids, put them in a bag, and abduct them, beat them if they was doing bad, and things of that nature. But they all derivative of the same people. I really want you to understand that. Santa Claus, Saint Nick, Krampus, all these things are what you're celebrating unbeknowingly, without knowing. So that was my brief, quick explanation for this Satan Claus, the satanic derivative type of thing that we're getting our churn into without knowing. And I just wanted you to see the historical standpoint and aspect of how this thing was developed. So remember, if it didn't happen then, it can't happen again. I'm Lil Kenny Russell. I'm here for your superior awareness. Yay, yay. That was it. In and out. I got more stuff coming up for you. Just stay with me. That's how I'm rocking. Yay, yay. We out.